Hello, I'm Rob O'Donoghue from the Environmental Learning Research Centre at Rhodes University. And Wilma van Staden and I have been working on this heritage food gardening module for LEAP schools. We were particularly concerned with heritage, so we worked with a number of key African heritage scholars like Charles Chikunda, Mutiswa Mkute, Sol Shava, and Sibongile Masuku, who over the years had been an inspiration to us in terms of the wisdom and knowledge that they had, as Sol put it, uncovered and recovered in research in Southern Africa. And we thought it was very important, if we're going to be dealing with heritage food gardening in this handprint care work with LEAP schools, that activating the heritage foundations of a land care ethic in Southern Africa was a key concern to us. Now here we ask the questions, how can early African heritage practices be activated as a foundation for land care ethics? And the first thing that we did, which was a real surprise to us, was to see the embedded ethics in the heritage processes of taming the land, in the responses to climate variation and predicting the seasonal cycles as these increased as a challenge in the south, and then the taming practices and migration that were able to control many of the important limiting diseases in Southern Africa, and also heritage practices that enable the agroecological sustainability amongst these numerous and diverse cultures in Southern Africa. So we produced a series of 3 PDF YouTubes. This is the first one that gives the broad perspective on African heritage practices and climate. Then the next important thing to deal with was pedagogy, because we're looking at curriculum-based work, and we needed to look at pedagogy that enables heritage practices to be activated in learning in curriculum settings. And here we looked at the archaeological and genealogical evidence and how this supersedes the colonial narratives of the time. And we looked at early heritage practices as foundations for evolving land care ethics. Then we went particularly into teaching methodologies for engaging the past to understand the concerns of the present, and dialectic methods for working with heritage and school science in curriculum settings. And then we asked the important question of how do we expand conventional methods for active learning and ESD? And then alongside this, how do we expand conventional assessment to assess significant learning through ESD? And once again, we produced a series of YouTubes on a PDF that we hope will be useful to teachers. The next was into the nitty-gritty of actually food gardening and looking at curriculum topics that can be taught to activate heritage food gardening practices. And we looked at waste recycling, compost, and the use of compost in food gardenings, Izala and Ututu. We looked at rainwater capture heritage in relation to optimizing of soil moisture, particularly in drought areas and during drought times, Ukugalesha. We looked at the gathering and growing of greens for good health, Imifino. And then we looked at soil fertility and water retention with humus, the mycorrhiza. And finally, looking at seed saving as a solidarity activity and for crop quality. And once again, what we've done is we've produced a PDF with all of the resource materials. And we hope that these 3 PDFs will be of value to teachers on this course-activated process on heritage food gardening, where we were looking at how can teaching the curriculum with the inclusion of Indigenous heritage foster for a handprint care approach, an ethics-led school and community approach to ESD. So this is the overview, and the 3 PDFs with their questions and the supporting materials are all available for teachers to explore in their own way, in their own order, and in their own time.